See Senator Farron is smiling this morning. That's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. I got two different meetings going on at the same time.
Yeah.
We call him the underboss,
Consigliere, I like that better.
consigliere. How we doing, Darlene?
I'm just waiting for the live stream to pop up.
Okay.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I just got an email said the DOT is conducting drive-through job interviews. Is that at the toll booth?
It's
If they hadn't thought of that, that is a way. Find employees someplace.
okay. We're live.
We have 7.
We do.
Good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Committee on Transportation. We're pleased to have you with us for our last work session of the year, we hope. And we're going to be live streamed, of course, on our committee's YouTube channel, and all the participants via Zoom are seen and heard when your mic is on, and the speakers must be recognized before speaking. Meeting is also recorded and available on the committee's YouTube after the meeting is concluded. This is a work session, and so it's not for the public hearing. And this is for the committee to decide how we're going to proceed with various bills. Somebody is audio going.
We've got some interference here.
Yeah.
Interference on
I just
audio.
muted Senator Farron.
Oh,
I
is
think it was him.
Okay, so back to what I was saying, which was so important. Members may request through the chair to ask others to speak, provide information. That's always, we look forward to that. And just what we want to make sure is that you'll know that all the votes we take will be visibly verifiable on Zoom. So we will, as we've always done, proceed with all those procedures. And we'll now introduce ourselves. We'll start with Senator Farron. Turn his mic back on, and good morning, Senator Farron.
Good morning, Senator Diamond. It's a pleasure to see your smiling face this morning. And I have no doubt that you could pump out 20 push-ups without even breaking a sweat. I've challenged the former first sergeant. I think we ought to have that before when we're in person. We should be able to do that.
Yeah.
My name is Brad Farron. I live in Norwich Walk. I represent the fine people of the majority of Somerset County and the town of Rome and Kennebec County. And we are all in a good mood if this is truly our last work session.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that introduction. We'll go to Senator Chipman, who I think is running his committee in taxation.
Yeah, he's not here.
Representative Wayne Perry, are you with us?
Good morning, everyone. Senator Diamond.
Morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't challenge Senator Diamond to any physical stuff. My mother sees him out running constantly around town, so he's still out. How many miles do you do every day still?
Well, I'm wimping down to 3.
Down to 3. And you would never know Senator Diamond was my 5th grade principal, to show how much younger he is than I am. Welcome, everyone. My name is Wayne Perry. I represent House District 10, and which covers Arundel, Dayton, and most of Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Now go back to your seat and sit down, please. Representative Lynn Williams.
Not here.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Representative Dustin White.
Not here.
Not here. Representative Mike Perkins.
Not here.
Not here. Representative Mark Bryan is not here. Representative Bruce White.
Yes, I am here, right in Waterville, Maine. So this is, yeah, it is Maine too. So actually, Representative Bruce White from Waterville District 109. Happy to be here and see everybody. Thank you.
Happy and belated happy birthday to you, Representative White.
Yeah, well, thank you. I know it was more fun when we celebrated in the Transportation Committee room,
Right.
a couple years back, as we did yours and some others.
We'll get you a cake in a year or two, so you hang right in there. Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm Representative Tom Martin. I cover the district number 57, which is Green and Sabatis.
Thank you, sir. Representative Kevin O'Connell.
Morning, thank you, sir. Kevin O'Connell, District 128, 96 and 33% of Brewer.
Thank you. I always look forward to that. Representative Rich Sebra.
Hey, good morning, Senator and committee. I'm Rich Sebra, District 68, Naples, Sebago, Baldwin, Cornish, Parsonsfield. One quick question. When we were in session in the Civic Center last week, they referenced 106 or 108 bills. Did we catch any of them, or are we done?
You mean new bills? We didn't get any new bills.
We didn't get any new bills. Oh, good.
They
Okay.
wanted to, but I said no. Danny said no, I said no, and that was it. And going to House Chair Representative Danny Martin. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Good morning, folks. Danny Martin, House 150, located in Aroostook County, northern Aroostook County. An Army will challenge Air Force anytime with push-ups.
Attaboy. I love that. All right, and I'm Bill Diamond, live in Wyndham. My Senate district is Senate District 26. And we will also now want to let you know that our analysts, Sam Prower and Karen Neto, and today, starting out will be Suzanne Voynick, and Darlene Simoneau is our clerk. So we appreciate all of those people and all the work they do, keeping us going. We are going to start with our transportation change package budget. As everybody remembers, we went through this budget line by line, initiative by initiative, took temporary votes on being in, but we now have a change package which deals mostly with the federal money that's because of this, what's happened down in Congress. So we want to look at our change package, go through those initiative by initiative, and we welcome Suzanne Voynick to join us.
Morning.
If you good morning, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good. You know, we have two. We have to actually just look at the general fund side. You want to start with that one? Just so
Yeah, that one's pretty small, so
Yeah.
we can get rid of it pretty
yeah,
quickly.
it's only 2 pages, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you want to go with that, and I think
Okay.
it references the actual bill. I think it starts on 185. Is that not that it makes a difference? We only got 2 pages here. So
Yeah, and this first one is an addition to the budget. It's in the highway safety, public safety department, establishes 2 highway safety coordinator positions and provides funding for related all other costs. It's 178,949 in 22 and 185, 108 in 23.
And then we
Federal
have,
funds.
and then well, let's do that one first, Danny.
Okay.
Right, yeah. Move in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then on the language part,
The language part, this is part F. It's making a change, and that was irrelevant to transportation, what was previously in there. This is a transfer to the highway fund from the general fund, transferring 18 million in from the general fund to the highway fund.
Right.
remembering that this is what the commissioner had talked to us about a little while back about the new 18 million. So that just gives a track on that. Representative Martin,
Move in.
move in. Remember, this is highway. This is not highway fund. This is general fund, but it's for us to review and give our approval.
Yeah.
So can we have a motion?
So-
Yes, go ahead, Suzanne.
I'll just make a quick letter to AFA, and I'll send it to you and Representative Martin to sign off on before I give it to AFA.
That's fine.
It'll be
Well-
short, sweet.
Yep, well, let's have a motion, Representative Martin, just so we get this official.
Yes. Move in the tire change package, Mr. Chair.
For the general fund, thank you. Second?
Second,
All those in favor, can you just raise your hands? Everybody raise your hand on that if you're in favor of this. Anybody who, Darlene, anybody who is not raising their hand?
No, everybody's got them up now.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody.
Does it have to be your
Yeah,
right
Darlene.
hand? We supposed to raise our right hand though?
We can have a reconsideration on that if you'd like. All right, nice question, though, Representative White. Okay, now we'll go to the highway fund change package.
Yes.
We all have that, and this actually starts on a page 1, so it's easy to reference. And
Yeah.
we're gonna go to the
So
7 pages plus language.
this first one is changing an initiative that was in the Transcap Trust Fund. And it's changing that originally, and I know the commissioner talked about this in the public hearing, transferred 2 million each year to Transcap from the highway fund to pay for debt service. And that wasn't enough. So it's revised. The revised numbers are 6,752,206 in 22 and 6,831,841 in 23 to make sure that that debt service can be paid.
Debt service is one of the things that we have no option with, so
If there are no questions, Mr. Chair, move in.
move in. Thank you. On, and the second initiative, just so we cover it.
There's really just one. The one up top is the current, that's what's
Oh, yes,
in
sorry.
the budget right now, and it's
Yep,
revising it to the bottom one.
Thank you. I just misread that. Thank you very much.
So that is that one. The next one is in transportation, highway and bridge capital. Provides allocation for flexible federal highway funds contained in the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2020. And this is a new allocation of federal expenditures of 15 million. Yeah, because there are 15 million federal funds.
Thank you.
allocation.
If there are no questions, move in.
Thank you.
Next.
Right, next.
The next one reduces allocation to align with available resources, $3,750,000 reduction in 23. And I may ask if maybe Karen Doyle might be able to come on. I don't know, Karen, if this is a good time to discuss these numbers or not, but maybe we can get Karen on here, Darlene.
Yeah, I'm pulling in Bruce Van Note too.
Okay, yeah, good.
There they are.
Go for it, Karen.
Oh, Commissioner, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did you want to make a couple of comments before we just specifically go to this?
No, it was actually it was just more of a question that we had back on the general fund piece. The date of the transfer was June 30th, 2022. And we had some question whether other type like transfers in this have been at 2021. So I don't know what the proper date should be. So the transfer, obviously 18 million from the general fund, it would be the largest happened in any recent memory. So I'm all for it. But the date might be something to clarify. And I think if Karen could work with Suzanne on that, I think that would be.
Yeah, maybe we can clarify that in the letter as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about. And for the Transcap pieces and those details, Karen's the right person for that job, Ms. Chairman.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to add, just generally speaking, before we move over?
Just the big picture of what's going on here is normally, as past committee members know, in recent biennium, it's traditionally been the highway fund budget and a bond. That's been our basic package. And this year we have 4 things going on. And you're doing them all in kind of real time here between the general fund budget, the highway fund budget, is use of the American Rescue Plan funds. That is a bill to be determined, but is presented that provides critical funding for us this year that eliminate the need for a bond in June. So that's kind of still going to be worked upstairs. And then, of course, the bond proposal 1702, which is being worked upstairs too. So those are all the 4 legs of our state funding table this year. And so that's it in terms of big picture and in terms of details. I'm here to answer any questions, but Karen, I'm a firm believer in going to the right person and not necessarily the top person. And so I think Karen would be the right person to do.
We all have the- Are there any questions of the committee, of the commissioner at this point? Feel free, we'll be able to ask them as we go anyway, but just want to make sure. Okay, Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I
We're
believe,
on the initiative. I think you've been with us on page 2, the second one. Yes.
so I believe you're on the initiative that talks about reducing allocation to align with available resources.
Yes, 3.7.
So when the Revenue Forecasting Committee met and on their May 1st report, the highway fund revenues were actually downgraded. Our traffic reports do indicate that traffic is rebounding to the 2019 levels, but those revenues have not quite come in yet, enough for revenue forecasting to make a change. So because of the lowered revenue, in order to balance the highway fund budget, there needs to be a reduction somewhere. And so what we're doing, there are 3 different places we're reducing it in FY23 with the hopes that highway fund revenues will increase and we'll be able to fix this in a supplemental next year. But for now, in order to, I understand your desire to finish this today, there needs to be a reduction. As printed, the reduction is 3.75 million. Suzanne and I talked this morning, and that reduction needs to be increased slightly to 4.3 million. So we would ask that you would move in, again, reluctantly ask that you move in a reduction to the Highway and Bridge Capital Program.
And how will that be impacting the department?
So this reduction is in FY23.
Yep.
And so it will be reducing our allocations a year and a half from now.
Right.
And so when the work plan is produced, there will be $4.3 million less work in that work plan for calendar year 23. So it's reducing something in the future, but there will be opportunities, again, with increased travel, that could be reversed. And also the 18 million that's coming from the general fund will be available to be allocated in next year's supplemental.
So
that could also help offset this.
We're hoping that the time will give us a more positive report from the forecasting.
Yes, exactly.
Questions of Karen from the committee? It all makes sense, probably a good strategy. Yeah. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick, and I don't know if this is for Karen or if this should be for Bruce. And hearing what Bruce said about, and I understand all the legs of the chair and all that, but the state of Maine has received almost, or a little over, or will receive almost $2 billion in federal money, and we're still looking at borrowing. Very frustrating. We've got another initiative coming up that I've had heartburn with for years and have heard that it's, only $1 million, only $2 million, only $3 million, whatever the number, when you total it all up. And that initiative would wipe out this initiative that we're doing here for allocation. So, we seem to not be prioritizing roads, and we're prioritizing everything else. And it's very frustrating. And I'm going to have a huge problem. I've always supported the highway fund. I've always been a champion of money, and I've supported bonds in the past. This is very frustrating that we have plenty of money to go everywhere else, and we're getting 18 million. That number should be 118 million out of the 2 billion. And that's what's really frustrating for me. I don't know how other members feel the same way, but the part I with the Secretary of State's money, I've gone back and forth on it. Everybody here knows I've had a wicked issue with it from the time we fixed the roof. And that was something that needed to be done, and I agreed. And that was going to be the one-time thing. And I've said this over and over. But I'm just very frustrated when I hear that, you know, it's only $1 million, it's only $2 million, it's only $3 million. Well, it looks like right here we got to take $4 million out of highways. So I'm just really frustrated about it. And I don't know where I'm going to be. This being my 5th term, I've seen this, and it's very frustrating.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Representative Seaver. Are you still with us, Representative Seaver?
Yes, sorry about this. Am I still having, can you hear me?
No, it's very broken, Representative Seaver. Can you use the phone maybe?
All right, come back to me and I'll change my audio if I can.
Okay, try to find another way because it's not, you're not.
How's that? A little better?
No, not good at all.
All right. I'll call in.
Okay, very good. While he's calling in, Commissioner, did you want to respond to Representative Perry?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank him for his steadfast support for transportation. He has always been there, and I expect he will be again in the end. I get the comment. I understand, but if you step back, every single tool at the governor's disposal, transportation was in it. I understand there's different policy views of how much it should be, but we're in there. It's 18 million of general fund money, which would be the highest any of us have ever seen in recent years, going from the general fund to the highway fund. Our light capital program will be fully funded with this. I understand we have to make this cut to balance the budget as it's currently published. With the general fund coming in, it'll be more than whole. And we'll have light capital funded through 2023, which that'll be the first time in my memory that we've had 2 years. Usually we're cobbling it together every year end, a few million here and there. So I understand the thoughts, but the bonding, it's still a great time it's still very low money. Between the general fund and the American Rescue Plan, which provides 50 million for highways and bridges, as well as another 33 million for other transportation related things. 18 million from the general fund, 100 million from bonding. We have been able to weather a highway fund drop like we've never seen in our lives last year. Traffic down 40, 50% a year ago. And with all those things, we've been able to keep solid capital programs. You'll never hear me say we have enough money. You all know that. We have an unmet need of somewhere north of $200 million. And as a commissioner of transportation, yeah, we're always in favor of more funding. I'm part of a bigger team that has a lot of different priorities, and those have to be balanced. And I think transportation, there's more coming from more different sources. We got 4 legs of this state stool instead of 2 usually, and with very significant monies from the other leg. So that would be my general observation. Mr. Chair.
Representative Perry, you want to just follow up because
Just real quick. Yeah, I understand all that, and I wasn't here for the last budget, and it's probably a good thing. But we spent 800 million last budget in general fund increases and still borrowed for roads. We're going to spend another close to 800 million in general fund money, and we're getting 18 million. I mean, there's huge general fund expenditures going into the state, and it doesn't seem like roads are a priority. And to ask the people of Maine, when we've got all this additional revenue, we had it last time, we could have fully funded highways if we chose to. We chose not to in the last budget. And we could have fully funded highways, and the budget would have still been almost $500 million more than the previous budget. So it hasn't been a priority, and to keep asking, and we've talked about this in committee before, to keep asking the people of Maine, and yes, I know money's cheap. Well, the money's real cheap if you do an actual appropriation and you pay no interest. and we start to take money off our total bonding. But when we have this much additional revenue and we have this much money coming in from the feds, and we're still asking the people of Maine to borrow money, and we're putting money into places that maybe needed down the road, maybe needed next year, the year after, or whatever. We've been going behind on highways, and if it's $1 million or $2 million or 10 million or 50 million, it's all important. And when we start saying it's not, that's our problem. And that's my problem, is we keep asking the people of Maine to keep borrowing more money, increases our total bonding, and we have revenue to pay for stuff. We choose not to. We choose to put it in other priorities. To me, transportation, I've been on this committee for 5 terms. This is my priority. And it'll always be my priority. But I'm just very frustrated. And I understand the position Commissioner Van Noot's in. I get it. But I also want everybody else to realize we passed a bill earlier that's going to the highway fund table to spend money on signs for somebody that's been here 2 days. And it passed. I don't know if it's going to pass off the table or not, but we need to go back to prioritizing our roads. And we always fight for general fund appropriations. Yes, thank you for the 18 million, but when you've spent 1.6 billion and you get 18 million, that's a joke. And it's a shame that we're not prioritizing our roads.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Representative Seabrook.
Hi, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, this is much better. Thank you.
Very good. Unfortunately, Wayne beat me to it. I really, I understand the position you're in, Commissioner. I really do. I have made no secret of the fact that the work plan and the highway budget work plan has always been my top priority in everything I do in the legislature. And I understand you're in a spot between a rock and a hard place, but I'm thankful that Wayne has kept this Part I Secretary of State slush fund thing in front of us, and I kind of dug into that some more. I don't like this. I don't like the direction that we're taking. I don't like the fact that we have. If you travel around this country and you see the infrastructure and you look at Maine's infrastructure, we are an aging infrastructure that needs more attention. It is clearly not a priority of this administration. And I'm not saying that on a partisan level. I'm saying it we need to keep our roads and bridges where we had them in the direction we were moving them in at the end of the Baldacci administration. Because you and I, Commissioner, worked on that $160 million in the Garvey money that we got. And we got the extra $50 million because we were able to convince the rest of the administration that it was a priority. And it doesn't seem to me, this 18, I feel, for everybody I'm looking at on this Zoom meeting, there's one person in the bottom right-hand corner that I feel worse for, and that's Bruce, because I know he's given his life to this state's Department of Transportation, the Turnpike Authority, and the protection of our infrastructure. And I don't get that upset, but I'm upset today. And Commissioner, I don't think just doing this, just to kind of keep putting the Band-Aid on is a great idea. I don't at all, and I'm a bit upset about it. And I feel for you, sir. I really do. Thanks for your service.
Thank you, Representative Seabrook. Commissioner, did you want to respond?
Very briefly, I understand different policy views. I think the key word in what everybody's saying is we need to, and that includes administrations and legislatures, which have different views of the world. This administration has put more money towards it. We are in very good shape for the shape we're in. I mean, we just came off a pandemic where we're losing, over the 6 years, we could be losing $90 million of highway funds until we bounce back. I actually think we're going to have a really good season this year with a lot of visitors. We may bounce back better, and it may be in our rearview mirror, and we'll be able to. a transformational conversation on priorities and funding. That's what the Blue Ribbon Commission started chewing off. I think that discussion has to continue. I honestly believe, and I believe that this in the middle of a pandemic is not the best time to have that kind of transformational discussion, especially when federal funding is in play right now and we don't know what we're going to get from them. I think the next biennium is the perfect time to take assessment. We're going to be taking an assessment of our need based on the renewed capital funding. And so I get it. It's a long-term thing. I think this administration has used more tools and put more money to transportation in the middle of a pandemic. I'm sitting here much better now than I thought I was going to be sitting a year ago. Let's just put it that way. I was very nervous about what we might have to do. And instead we've maintained solid capital programs by using all these resources. So I think a lot of priorities are placed on transportation by this administration, certainly by me. And I think other people have higher priorities for transportation. I get that. Of course, I personally, that sounds great to me, but I know governing is about choices and the we is who makes those choices. So that's all I have, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Farren.
Short and brief, I promise. Commissioner, thank you for your service and the work that your department does. Like I said, served for many years, and I know where your heart is at. And I also know you call them straight up the way that you see them, and we appreciate that. So when you tell us your views of where we stand today, I appreciate that, and I take that very seriously from that standpoint. And I would agree. This is not a partisan issue. We criticized the previous administration for the amount of dollars that was spent on infrastructure. We have seen more. We went through the Blue Ribbon Commission piece of it, tried to identify some stuff, and you talk about the 200 million. I think based upon that experience I went through with our chair, long term, I think we're talking closer to $1 billion structural gap through everything that we got. And so I do feel with my committee members that we still haven't prioritized it enough. And I remember sitting at the last State of the State in person when the chief executive looked at all of us and said, fix the damn roads. Well, I think you got some members here that are willing to spend more money on fixing the roads. And like you say, it's priorities. And I think what you're hearing is some of that frustration is infrastructure and our process, roads, bridges, trains, planes, automobiles, everything else is a priority to all of us. And we'd like to see a higher priority. To us, it's not enough when we see where some of the spending is going other. With that being said, some of us are in a minority in some of those discussions. And this is our only opportunity to voice that concern about how that's being done. And so I hope you and the department and everybody else doesn't take that personally. It's more of support than it is anything else because of what we believe in. And then when it gets to some of those things like the Secretary of State's fund there and some of the others that we see the priorities, that we have very few opportunities to raise our hand and have a seat at the table. So that's what we're talking about here today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Farren. And I thank everybody for this very healthy discussion. It is very, very much appreciated. Other questions or comments at this point? We're not stopping. We'll have plenty of time to do others. So we're at this now, which reads 4.3 million reduction. Is there a motion? Is there more discussion? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I don't think we've acted on this latest initiative, and I would move in.
Thank you. Any other question? Representative Perry?
Yeah, real quick, I think we should wait until we discuss what's going to happen with Part I, because if Part I is still in there, then we have to move this out. If Part I is not in there, then we don't have to move this out.
Right. We can come back. This is just an initial.
Well, then I don't want to move it in. That's the whole issue.
You don't
We
want
should
to
be
move it in?
moving something in if we're going to come back and change it.
Okay. Well, if we don't do that, then we can't do anything else. All this is simply saying at the moment, and if we want to change it, we can change it, and if circumstances come to that, we will.
Yeah, at the conclusion, Mr. Chair, we're going to be needing a motion to act as proposed LD 161. So this is just temporary and we can modify it later.
We can come back to it, Representative Perry. There's no prevention of that.
Can I just make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, of course.
I would just want to say that with Part I, what that's doing is allowing the Secretary of State to carry forward money.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily give you any money in the budget to work with. What it does is it restricts it for being transferred to capital at the end of the year. So if you didn't have that carry forward money, if anything lapsed to the highway fund over $100,000, you'd be able to transfer it to capital. So it doesn't give you anything to work with in the budget, but it
Okay.
just allows that transfer at the end of the year.
All right. Thank you for that. Representative Perry, your hand is still up. Did you?
Yeah, just real quick to Suzanne, but if we move out section I, then that carryover money goes in at the end of the budget along with the one we're doing right now.
At
which
the end of the
23.
year, at the end of the year. So you'll
Right.
still have, if there's anything to carry forward, if there's anything to lapse,
Right.
you know, I don't know, maybe they'll spend it all. I have no idea. If there's anything that lapses at the end of the year, it'll go to capital.
Right.
But it doesn't give you anything right now,
Okay.
is
Yep.
what I'm saying, to fix the budget.
Thank you for that. All right. Motion is in. And we've noted we may be coming back to this or anything else as far as that goes. So continue on, Suzanne.
Okay. Next one is highway and light capital. The first one provides allocation for flexible federal highway funds contained in the Coronavirus Relief Act of 2020. And it's a federal allocation of 10 million.
Questions? Seeing none.
Seeing none, move in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
The next one reduces allocation to align with available resources. It's a highway fund reduction of $2,250,000 in FY23.
Questions? Seeing none.
None, move in.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is local road assistance. And I'm going to, these numbers are going to change and I'm going to defer to Karen to help walk through. This is a reduction in a reduction to align with available resources. And this has to do with the cuts to highway that we saw. 9% of DOT allocations is local road assistance. So this is being cut because highway bridge and highway light is being cut. But I'm gonna have Karen kind of walk you through what the numbers are supposed to be.
So Karen, can you join us?
Sure. So as it's printed in the change package, it's a negative 540,000. In order to keep that with the 9% of the change that was just made 2 pages previously, that number should be negative $589,500. And that's the statutory 9%.
That's the 9%. Okay. Questions?
Seeing none, move in.
Thank you.
And if you refer to the original budget, Karen and I had a discussion about this earlier today. In local road assistance, and I apologize again for not having numbered these pages before I printed it. But there's an adjustment for local road assistance to keep with the statute of the 9%. And those numbers, you've already previously approved that, but those need to change too, and I'll let Karen explain what they should be.
Well, yeah, we recall that adjustment, but Karen, you want to just kind of fill in the whole gaps here?
Sure. So in this case, the number is going up, which is good news for local road assistance. Because the local road assistance has to take into effect everything that you do with the highway fund. So as printed, it was a negative 23,000 in the first year, and that needs to be a positive 297,082 in the first year. And the second year was printed a positive number that needs to be a positive 539,655.
What was the first year again?
So The first year, the correct number should be 297,082.
Okay, thanks. Questions?
Move in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, Suzanne?
Okay, hang on just a minute. So next on the change package is multimodal island ferry service. You had previously approved the initiative on the top. The bottom initiative just adds a piece for the highway fund of 67,666 in 22 and 67,934. So it revises that initiative to add an allocation to the highway fund. You had previously approved that initiative as is, but now it's being changed.
Okay, thank you. Questions, clarifications? Seeing
Move
none.
in.
You.
Next is multimodal transit, provides allocation for flexible federal funds contained in the Coronavirus Act of 2020, 18 million in 22 and 4,904,653 in 23, and those are federal funds.
Could you, or you would like Karen to talk a little bit about the second year? The 4.9 million?
So these are federal monies from the CRESA Act, and the
Right.
total was the 22.9 million. So we're expecting we can spend the 18 million in the first year, and then what's left will be in
Yeah,
the second.
okay, yeah, that was just trying to do my math. Good, thank you. Other question, excuse me, questions?
Move in.
Okay. Next is supplemental transportation fund. Provides authority to spend the revenue received for safety related research, initiative, and projects. This is an OSR allocation of 100,000 in each year.
Thank you. Questions?
Move in.
Thank you. All right, language.
Okay. The next one is language, a language change. So the current one is up here. As we talked about earlier, the TransCap funding, the transfer for TransCap needs to increase. So the bottom revised language includes that increased transfer for the debt service.
Okay, yep. Discussion, questions? Seeing none?
Move in.
Now we get to part I.
Part I.
I don't even want to talk.
Good news, this is the last part, and we want,
So it's being revised. So this is just the carry forward language for the Secretary of State, and I will defer to Madam Secretary or Dave LaChance. I'm not sure which years are correct, if the ones in the language are correct, or if the ones in the summary are correct, because they're different.
Yeah. Why don't we, before we go, Representative Perry, did you?
Yeah, just a quick question for Suzanne. Why is the 1.9 million language in there and that was already in the supplemental budget?
Well, it was in the supplemental budget, but this, as presented by the governor's budget, but this committee amended it so that the language was taken out from what I remember.
It was
So
put
it
into
would
an
create
allocation.
lapsing language, and it put an initiative in the supplemental budget
Right.
for state cap. And so nothing was
And
carried
for
forward,
the
it was lapsed.
1.9 cap for the 1.9. There was another
didn't-
million for the other.
It wasn't a carry forward when the enacted version. And if
Right, it
I'm
was an
misunderstanding that, I'll defer to Dave.
It was a 1.9 million allocation.
Yes, for state
Right.
cap.
So now this is but no, there was two numbers. The state cap was 900,000, I believe, because it was 2.8 or 2.9 total.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head how much we allocated for state cap. I think it was about $1 million.
Right. And then there was a 1.9 million allocation for this computer stuff. And now we've got it in as carry forward language. So are we talking another 1.9 million plus $1 million? So this is, I have a real issue with this part. It's the more I think about it, the more I don't like it.
Let's bring the people in from Secretary of State.
Yeah, I'd have to defer.
Help with that discussion. Madam Secretary, are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Transportation Committee.
Welcome.
First, Director LaChance sends his apologies. He has a family member who's seriously ill, and he could not be with us today.
Well, we apologize. We are sorry.
I will do my best to answer the committee's questions and really appreciate the education that members of this committee, including Representative Perry, have provided to me, as well as Mr. LaChance. My understanding of the way this language was crafted by the Budget Office is that the 1.9 million was passed into law with a supplemental. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. We deeply appreciate it. Because of significant vacancies that were not filled during the pandemic and expenses that were reduced over time, there is an additional up to 1 million that would become effective at the end of this fiscal year that we are in, that is written forward in this language to potentially carry forward. And then an additional million in the next fiscal year. That would bring us from 1.9 million to 3.9 million. Now, I want to make an unorthodox suggestion, and Suzanne may correct me, perhaps this is not appropriate, but I understand what she's saying in saying that our carry forward language can't exactly fix the budget hole that you're faced with in this moment. But at the same time, I understand that any money that's made available to the highway fund potentially offsets future problems when you're dealing with a supplemental next year. And I do want to say that I think we all share the same goal. Roads and bridges are the absolute backbone of our economy. The BMV is really proud of the degree to which we support Maine roads and bridges by generating last year $107.4 million to the highway fund. That was an 8% increase above what was budgeted. And we do that through the people of Maine and licensing, registrations, and titling. And so the reason we've been proposing the technology modernization, not just the 1.9 million, for which we are grateful, but any additional residual. So for example, if we were to give up 1.3 out of this proposed 2, but keep 700,000, which is, again, my unorthodox suggestion. But the reason I'm proposing that is because I do need you to know two things. One, we have fallen behind other states. I'm sure all of you have heard from constituents who are upset about the titles backlog. But about half the states in the country are doing something that Maine is not doing, and that's electronic liens. Now, there are multiple vendors that provide those, but that will require funding for us to move forward with that aspect of e-titling, and even potentially more to move forward with a full e-titling solution. But that is something I'm convinced that we are going to need to do if we are going to keep pace with what the customer, dealer, and business demand is for titles. And that's an important part of this revenue. The other two issues that I just need you to understand is that the license services system, our driver license system, was installed in July of 2005, 16 years ago. Our vehicle registration system was installed in February of 2011, 10 years ago. Now, our IT team makes constant upgrades and fixes to those systems, but those are really old for technology systems. And earlier this month, you might have heard a complaint or two. Our systems went down about a dozen times for over a 2-week period. Our IT team is amazing. They tried a couple of different solutions and they found one that seems to have worked. But when you have aging technology, or when you don't modernize your technology to do what other states are doing, to meet customer demand and business demand, then that's going to limit how efficiently and productively we generate funds for the highway fund. So that's why this request is here. It's not for Maine. It's for the people of Maine. It's for the businesses in Maine who are asking us, and I'm sure reaching out to you as well. But I hear what you're saying, and I guess what I'd ask is, if you're not comfortable allowing us to carry forward an additional 2 million, let us send 1.3 back to the highway fund. This is from savings, salary savings and cost savings at the Bureau, and let us keep 700,000. That would bring us to potentially 2.6. I can't promise you that's going to be enough for everything that we need to do, but it will allow us to move forward with some of the work that needs to be done.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Questions of the Secretary? Representative Perry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary, you mentioned about e-titling. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got a working group starting up for e-titling that isn't even coming back until sometime in 2023. So the earliest we'd be looking is past that date, correct?
So I want to differentiate between electronic lien. So there are things that we can do that are not a full e-titling solution. So a full e-titling solution, only Texas is doing that right now. That would mean that you didn't have paper titles, essentially, that you would create electronic processes for every aspect of the titling process. What I'm hearing, because we're going to work through that working group, we're going to work with AMVA and the national e-titling standards. That is going to take some time. And it is likely to be far more costly than even what we're talking about right now, but it is important to move toward that possible solution. About half the states, and Deputy Secretary Curtis is with us. She was working at AMVA for about 10 years. She may share some additional expertise, but about half the states are doing something already, which is electronic liens. And that means that when there is a lien on the title, instead of generating paper, that we generate a record in our system and that remains electronic. And where that benefits, and again, Deputy Secretary Curtis can explain this better than I can, but why that's a benefit to the dealers is so often they are chasing paper from the lien holder. And the lien holder, especially the larger banks, might be keeping all those paper titles in one location in the country. And that's adding weeks to the process. So that's something that we would like to pursue sooner rather than later.
Well, I just to follow up, Mr. Chair, I mean, I think that's fine to a point. To totally do away with the paper titles totally leaves the ownership that everybody has to that computer that you have at Secretary of State's office, that if it crashes or something happens, how do we know we own our vehicles, or how do we know we own all that? It's like Bitcoin. It's worth 60,000 2 weeks ago, and now it's worth 35. So, all of a sudden, I understand all the new technology, but we're going to get to a point where maybe all new technology isn't that good. I understand the thing with the dealers and that, but I would think there would be something that could be worked out on that to cover that month. But to 100% go the other way, I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
I hear you, and I think those are some of the questions that'll need to be discussed through the working group. And again, our IT team is remarkable. So not only are our systems on site tracking and keeping so much of this data, but we also do some pretty sophisticated offsite storage and backups of all of our systems. What becomes challenging in this conversation that we're in right now is our systems are antiquated by any measure when it comes to technology. But you make a good point that we need to be always very thoughtful about how we move forward with technology.
Madam Secretary, when you and I talked yesterday, and we talked about the carryover, some other things, but this carryover as well. And one of the things that I asked you to consider would be to come in today with what I guess I termed as a bare bones kind of approach to this e-titling and the kind of money that we have to have. And I did that based when I took over as my term as Secretary of State. We had a corporations bureau that had broken, and we had 40,000 annual corporate filings sitting in boxes in a big room. I guess it were 20, 25 boxes, and the system was about to crash come June when businesses had no proof. And so the system had gone too far without repair. My point is, it's even worse now with electronical systems that we have. And I know ours are aging. And I want to make sure that we don't face a travesty that in today's world is unfortunately based on technology. And what we're seeing now are hints of that. And so what I'd asked for, and it sounds like you did that because I haven't talked to you since.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the 700,000 may be an approach to that. Am I reading that correctly?
Right. It's a compromise because we recognize that this is going to be a process, and we also recognize that we need to have these conversations with these vendors and get some technology explicit budgets in place for each of these systems moving forward. But we don't want to wait to start that process because, I'll just be frank and transparent. Our titles backlog is 37,650 titles as of today. Now, that is significantly lower than where we were at the beginning of the year. Our team worked last Saturday and is working overtime to try to reduce that backlog. But something like electronic liens could dramatically help us improve that. And if we don't have resources to start that process, it makes it more difficult down the road, and it makes the ask more expensive down the road. And that's why we've put forward this compromise.
Thanks for putting time into that. I appreciate you doing it. Representative White, Bruce White.
Yes, thank you, Senator Diamond, and thank you, Secretary Bellows. I think the request is very reasonable with the 700,000, and I hope it's enough actually. And I think really, as Representative Perry mentioned and you, Senator Diamond, about the technology, whether we're going in that direction, whether we like it or not. People are using their mobile phones, and they want this technology. They want their services quicker, and we should do what we can. I think money spent on technology is money well spent, and if we don't do it, as Representative Perry was mentioning about, relying on that if something happens, well, that's why we're spending money on technology, because if something happens, we have systems in place to, bounce back up. And, whereas people don't even notice it, if one computer or one server goes down, we need to be bounced back up by having that other equipment ready and available. So I don't think we have any option. We need to continue moving forward and doing upgrades and necessary. And I appreciate you and your department thinking about those things. So I'm fully supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative White. Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've just been presented by way of Suzanne a dollar amount on Part I on a change package. And it appears our Secretary of State is discussing a potential compromise. Which proposal, Mr. Chair, is before us at the moment?
Well, we've only had a proposal for the compromise. We have the one that's in the Part I, which as we've read, and now we've had the Secretary offer an amendment to that.
Right.
So, and we can have that. Could you just summarize that again, Madam Secretary, just so people can kind of put their head around it a little bit better?
So the language proposes an additional 1 million and I'm looking at Representative Perry because he he corrected me last work session, and I'm inviting him to correct me if I get this wrong, but my understanding is 1 million that would be effective July 1st, and then 1 million that would be effective a year from July 1st. And so instead, what I'm proposing is a carry forward of up to an additional 700,000 effective July 1st, but then moving the additional 300,000 and the additional, basically deleting the second million and reducing the first million to 700,000. And to Suzanne's point, I recognize you can't just take that 1.3 and put it in the budget because it's out of savings. But ideally, it would go a long way to meeting the problem that Karen described, which is providing some additional revenue for the highway fund when there's a conversation during the supplemental budget next year.
Thank you.
In the amount of up to 1.3.
Does anybody in the committee want to just clarify that so you have it, everybody have it okay, just for a future discussion? Okay, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The good Secretary of State's coming with a compromise. To me, the compromise had already happened when we agreed to 1.9 million in the supplemental budget. And I brought up, so then you want another million 2 months from now. And Chairman Martin says that I knew what I was talking about and it wasn't going to happen then. And now we know it is going to happen then. I look at it that we gave 1.9 million in the supplemental budget as the starter money for whatever is needed on starting up this plan. If the Secretary of State possibly will know better next year what she needs, the automatic carryover money, I can't support. She did an appropriation because she was doing that in the supplemental, and we asked her to put up in an appropriation, and so she put an appropriation. That money hasn't been spent, that money hasn't been done, and we already need more money. Well, we need more money for roads right now, today. And it's one of those things that down the road, when we decide to do the e-titling and e-liens and all that stuff, we need to know what it cost to do those. And at that point, the good secretary will bring us the cost, how much it costs per title. And if it costs $50 a title, then it's going to be $50 a title to do e-titling, or $20 a title, or whatever the number. But to keep taking the money out of roads, I can't do. I'm not going to, we keep doing this every year. And, I understand the secretary wasn't here when Secretary Dunlap says, just this one time, we need this 2 million. Well, now it's just this one time, we need 2 million every time. And that's my frustration. And, we just allocated 1.9 million. In the next budget, come talk to us again, or whatever. But I don't like the carryover language. I can't support it.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Other questions of the secretary? She has brought to us, which we should take some action on. She had brought to us an amended version of what the original change package had under Part I. We've all heard that. Representative Danny Martin?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would move in the proposal and compromise put forth by our Secretary of State.
Which was just explained to us, move in. Discussion.
Can I just ask a question? I'm sorry. Let me to butt in. Can I just clarify, the way I understand it, Madam Secretary, is that the 1.9 million referenced in the revised language would come out. We would not carry forward that. And we would carry forward 700,000 at the end of 22 into 23.
I don't think so. I think that the language, and again, forgive me, I think what the budget office explained to us is they wanted to make sure that people understood that the 1.9 was already there. And that's where the notwithstanding, my understanding is that 1.9 is in Public Law 2021, Chapter 2 already. And so the intent in the drafting of the language, and I did not draft this language, was just to make sure that the Transportation Committee understood that 1 million and then a second million were in addition to the 1.9.
Okay.
So the compromise that I was proposing, and I absolutely hear, you know, I really appreciate everyone's honesty and willingness to have conversations with me. I will tell you, this won't be the last time I ask for technology money. It will be an ongoing conversation because I'm worried about the age of our systems. But the compromise was intended, instead of carrying over an additional 2 million, one this year and one the following year, to reduce that to just up to 700,000. So that 4.3 would go back.
So that 1.9 reference would stay in there, and we would carry forward up to 700,000 from 21, 22. And then the reference to and fiscal year 22, 23 would be removed.
I think that's right.
I'm understanding it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for that clarification. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, I think, and I understand the compromise that the secretary's brought forward, but like I said, we gave 1.9 million next year. If she needs 700,000, then come to us next year. I don't like the automatic language. I don't like because then the automatic language is in there, and then next year it's another 1.8 million that of carryover, more carryover money. So I think that if, you know, I can't support the carryover language. I think that if we just gave her 1.9 million, the Secretary of State's office, 2 months ago, and that money hasn't been spent, hasn't been looked at, nothing's happened to that money yet. I don't even know if the money's been transferred yet, actually. So, and now we're already looking at more. So I think that, you know, I went along with it because Secretary Bellows put it in as an allocation in the supplemental budget. I'm not in support of the carryover language. I believe anything that is left over needs to go to capital and will flow to the capital line that we just cut next year in July 1st or 2nd. If there's that leftover money, it will go to that line or whatever other line in the highway and bridge capital account. We need to stop taking money out of highways and bridges. There's got to be money for somewhere else. And we just can't keep reducing that money. And I don't care if it's 700,000 or $1 million or whatever.
Thank you, Representative Perry. I'm coming from this at a little bit of different angle because it really doesn't conflict with what you're saying. But what it does say is that having dealt with these major technology people, and when you try to plan something out, the kind of money that you think you have available may not be enough. And that's what happened to us even back as far as I was referencing. And I would rather have the money there, because if this system should crash or semi-crash even, or any of the other ones that we have going on, the technology systems we have going on within the Department of Motor Vehicles, all of those impact every person in the state directly or indirectly. And I don't want to take that chance. Now, if she doesn't need the money next year, the 700 is still sitting there, then I would say to Representative Perry, you were right, I was wrong. I just think that this is something we can't take a risk on. Sometimes these things just explode and you have to have the money available to do it. And to me, this is an insurance. It's reduced down considerably from what we had before. And I think it's something that we really need to, in my opinion, we really need to provide that cushion just in case. And that's what it is, just in case. And we're going to be able to look at this again next year. We're coming back in January and see how things are and take that estimate then. But that's where I'm coming from. I appreciate Representative Perry where you are too. I'm just coming from and having gone through this a little bit and knowing what that does, what that could do to the economy and to our citizens, every one of them who depends on motor vehicle one way or another.
Well, but that would be no different, follow up, Mr. Chair. That'd be no different than roads. When we all travel on the roads and it's all costing us money on the roads, and every time we don't do that, there's no difference there. If she needs the 700,000 next year, because this allocation is carryover language for next year, put in the supplemental budget next year that you need 700,000. Don't put in permanent carryover language.
And I would just respond, there's a difference between roads and a technology system. Because if a road doesn't blow up and prevent cars from going through, most of them don't, there are some. Or a technology system, when that goes down, that affects everybody. So Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would defer to Representative Seabra and Senator Chipman. But I understand that Suzanne might have a question.
Yep. Suzanne, you have something at this point you would want to bring in?
I think I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Chipman.
Thank you. I just want to say, with all due respect to my friend from Arundel, Representative Perry, I do concur with the thoughts just shared with us by you, Senator Diamond, and supporting the motion to move this in from Chair Martin.
Thank you. Representative Seabra.
Yeah, thanks, Senator. Can we get a roll call vote on moving in section I?
Absolutely, we definitely will. Other Representative Danny Martin.
No, that's all right, Mr. Chair. I was just questioning the procedure, and since we have opposition from at least Representative Perry and maybe others, we would need to take a motion on.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, take a vote on the pending motion.
Right, the motion has been made to move in. And before we go there, Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Listening through this thing, and it's a little frustrating from a standpoint of I hear both sides, right, of this argument, and it is frustrating from an IT technology standpoint. I work for a company that we invest very heavily in our infrastructure, and it seems like every system you put in, the upgrades and the maintenance and everything else keeps coming at you from all angles as you're doing that. With that being said, your analogy, about the systems pieces, a bridge you can have major failures across the board, and you can only take care of so many of those in that piece. And I do think, we talked about this early on, the compromise during the supplemental of the $1.9 million is that was there. It was continuing language, and we didn't want to keep seeing that time and time and again. And I respect the Secretary of State bringing forward her reduction of that in this time. But there's some of us that feel like we made that compromise in the supplemental piece, and that's not going to be spent between now and the time that we come back and we have another supplemental budget or a change or whatever. And so it does seem a little, I don't want to use the word disingenuous, but we're trying to stack money into different pots so that it's there. And I think we should have a plan for the 1.9 before we ask for more. And that's kind of where my head's at.
Thank you, Senator Farren. Other comments or questions? Appreciate all the input, believe me. Senator Representative Seabra, was your hand just still up, or do you have another? Oh, thank you. Further questions? We have a motion of in, and Darlene, we're going to ask you to take the vote, please.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren.
No.
Representative Perkins is absent. Representative Perry,
No.
Representative Williams is absent. Representative Dustin White,
No.
Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant is absent. Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
No.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seabra.
No.
Motion to move in fails 5-5. So that did not go in, so it's fails. So there you go. Does that complete everything, Suzanne, that you have?
Well, no, but I guess I'm unclear of what happens to part I now. Are you just assuming it's voted out?
The amendment was voted out.
Or-
But
okay.
we still have the language before us.
Yes, you still have the original.
I wanted to check and see if there's anything else you had.
And we also, I don't believe we've taken votes on the language yet either, the original language from the bill.
Okay,
So we still have to do that as well.
okay. All right, so now, yes, Senator Chipman, yes.
The question about process, so I don't know if this works the same with this as it does with bills, but there's 3 members that are not here. Do they have an opportunity to still vote on whether that should be in or not, or do they not get that opportunity on a budget issue?
Well, the answer to that is yes. There'll be a final vote on the entire package, which we just done temporary ends on everything. So right now, Part I is not in. But there'll be a final vote that will include, I suspect there would be a motion on the final vote that would include all the ins and the outs or whatever it may be. And so that's when there'll be a vote.
The missing members won't get to vote on what we just did, but they'll get to vote at another time on the final package, which will include an opportunity to vote in this funding.
If there's a motion made to pass this, and that motion included in on I amendment, then that will be voted. We just did like we've done on every other end. We just did a formal vote. That's the only difference.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? So yes, Suzanne, we have to talk about that other language piece.
Yeah, the rest of the language.
Yeah.
So in the original document that you have in your binder, towards the end is the language. And I'm on page 2. I do have that we approved Part C because there was initiative related to it. That's the attrition. But we have Part D. Is everybody there? Page 2 of the language at the end.
Are you in the original
I'm in
budget?
the original bill, yeah. The work session document in your binder.
Okay, go ahead.
So Part D allows Transcap Trust Fund non-bond funds, excuse me, to be used for capital projects with an estimated life of 5 years or more.
Right.
And this is language you've seen in previous budgets, so I just need a.
Everybody
I guess.
see this? So before we move this, Part D summary, it shows on page 2, language, original budget, questions, clarifications, 10 years to 5. Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick. The commissioner will remember this, and probably Representative Zebra, and maybe even you, Senator Diamond. This was one part that former Representative Ann Peoples always brought to us and kept saying, we can't do this forever. And so far we have, and I understand why, but to other members of the committee, this was one thing that she always brought up. And I just wanted to let other members know.
That's a nice memory of her, actually. Thank you about that. Commissioner Van Dam?
Yes, and just to follow up, I remember those every 2-year discussions about that language item. It is time to institutionalize it. I mean, light capital paving is how we manage over half our highway system. That doesn't last 10 years. The alternative is trying to do, quote, do it right, which of course, if I was trained at Orno, that would be nice, but that's like $2 or $3 million a mile. We manage half the system at 50,000 a mile. So I think it's time to just kind of admit that that's going to be an ongoing way that we manage a vast transportation system without not that many people. And that's what this does.
Thank you, excellent point. Further to clarifications, discussion on Part D language. Seeing none, Mr. House Chair.
Move in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Suzanne, what else do we have to do? What else? Yeah, give me a little.
Okay, Part E is the Garvey bond funding of 50 million. That's on the next page.
We voted that in, did we not?
I think you did. Yeah, I think we did actually.
Right.
Part F we've already dealt with.
Right.
Part G I say we voted too, and Part A.
We did, and H as well.
So then we're on Part I, and you just the amendment was failed to
Right.
vote in, so I'm unclear on what we're doing
So-
with part
So
I, if
now
anything.
the amendment, so now we're back to the original language in part I that we received, we just talked about in the change package.
So this language allows the Department of Secretary of State to carry forward any remaining personal services and all other to 22, 23, and it does not cap it at $1 million per year, so.
Yes, Representative Perry.
And make a motion to move this out.
Motion is made to move out the language we looked at prior to the amended version presented by the secretary. We would definitely have to take a vote on that, since we have been voting on this issue for sure. Darlene, can you take us, or excuse me, is there any questions or comments prior to this vote? Seeing none. Okay, Darlene, can you take us through? The motion is to move out.
Part I.
Part I.
Senator Diamond,
No.
Representative Danny Martin,
No.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins, absent. Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams is absent. Representative Dustin White,
Yes.
Senator Chipman,
No.
Representative Bryant is absent. Representative Bruce White,
No.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
No.
and Representative Seabrook.
Yes.
Motion to move out fails, 5-5. So that is in. What else, Suzanne?
That is it. So if I understand correctly, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding dense, but I'm
Oh,
just.
don't worry about it. You joined a good crowd. We're all that way.
So part I is in the original version of it that was in the budget, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The only other thing I have is to, if you want to, it's up to the committee, but to exempt it from the highway table so it doesn't get stuck.
Yes, we would want to do that. Before we do that, though, Commissioner, you have some comments?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's just stepping back. Thank you for working all those details. And I think we're in a good place, ready to go. I just need, because of the Zoom format, I'm just feeling the need to stress again, all 4 of those legs are necessary now for us to put together a program. Especially there isn't an LD yet on the American Rescue Plan funds to 50 million, but as this committee will recall, we were planning on using that this year. We're putting out work this year. And so I understand that some members are saying that should be more, or general fund should be more. That's a policy debate for the greater we, and I respect this committee very much and the legislature very much, and wherever that comes out. But it's really important that at least what's been proposed actually happens. That's a this year thing, and the general fund is similar. That's what balances the cuts that we just made in the Highway Bridge Capital Program. So I know that's not relevant to this pending motion, but as members go out and consider other things that are before appropriations on the floor, I can't stress enough how those funds, those other legs of the table this year that we have, American Rescue Plan funds from the Main Jobs and Recovery Act and the general fund are critical transportation this year. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other comments and questions about LD, this change package on LD 161 and 161?
We also just need to make a final vote on the entire bill and the change package.
Yeah, that's what, I said it poorly,
Yeah.
but that's what I just said, but you're absolutely right. I want to make sure that people, and we can, yes, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As much as I hate to do this, if Part I is in there, I cannot support the budget.
Yep.
This is, we just about to spend $4 million, allocate or set up for the Secretary of State's off $4 million as we cut $4 million out of highway and bridge capital. That it's a, I don't understand. We just keep spending money on something other than highways, bridges, you know, ports, airports, transportation stuff. And I understand the future need to take money out of a road today to maybe need money tomorrow. To me is, I can't support the budget with that in there. And if the other members of the committee want to support a budget with a $4 million into the future maybe thing tied up and not into an allocation for roads and bridges, I can't support the budget with that in there. And it's disturbing to me as somebody that's been on the committee for five terms, how we've turned away from roads and bridges. And we always seem to find money for other policies. And I understand the future need. I get it. But we just did 1.9 million. That hasn't even been spent yet. We haven't even been told how it's going to be spent. We know it's going to be spent on computer stuff. And we're going to put more money, another 2 million in the budget for that. And I'm very frustrated with how, you know, this has turned into, you know, when some of the bills that we pass that are going to go to the table that have zero to do with transportation, and it's just frustrating.
Hey, Representative Perry, I understand. Commissioner Van Note.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative Perry and I go back a long way, and he knows that I don't take answering other questions. I don't take anything personal. I'm well past that, you know, and I know this is a policy difference. I would just ask respectfully to think about the ramifications. As the representative knows, this is a 2/3 budget. We're not in the same position as the general fund where they're working on a change package, a part 2. This is live. This is the whole thing. When I was pleading for the American Rescue Plan and the general fund money, I should have added, I didn't really foresee losing the highway fund budget potential. And I understand Representative Perry is just one vote, but he's an influential vote, and I worry about what that will do to the whole budget. And then we got stuff happening this year. This is emergency. We need 2/3 in order of magnitude. You know, we're talking 100 million of bonding, 50 million from the American Rescue Plan, 18 million from general fund. I get the principle, and I understand, but in terms of order of magnitude, I'd hate to throw baby out with the bathwater. I hate to lose the whole highway fund over something that relatively small. And so I would just respectfully plead almost, Representative, that you support the highway fund budget, and you could express priorities perhaps in the letter over to the general fund where those other things are being done, as some kind of language there about the policy. But this is a must-do budget. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Next in line, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I totally understand everything you just said, Commissioner. In the same breath, implore the other members of the committee to not throw the baby out with the bathwater on keeping $2 million in carryover language in. It's no different. I support the whole budget other than that $2 million. So members that would support the other side, which is fine, their choice, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater too. So are we throwing the whole highway fund out to keep this carryover language in? So it's both sides on this. It's not just me saying that I'm voting against the budget because of this carryover. They're voting for the budget with a carryover. So it's no different. So the other members of the committee willing to throw out the whole highway fund budget to put in carryover language on money that we don't even know is going to be needed before the end of this budget. We do know we need highway fund money. And if it's $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or whatever the number, we need all that money that we can get. So it's a two-way street. People are voting yes on this to keep in $2 million that's not going to a road or bridge.
Thank you, Representative Perry. I would just inject in that piece that there was and still is, as far as that goes, an opportunity to reduce that 2 million down to what I thought was a pretty basic cushion in case, knowing how all these technology firms work and how all these things happen almost immediately. So it doesn't have to be 2 million. It could be down to the 700,000 we talked about. And that's still an option. Senator Chipman.
Thank you, Senator Diamond. I'd like to just make the point that we had a discussion about this carryover language. We had a process for that. We had a vote of voting it in or voting it out. And I would just ask folks to please respect that process and to please just kind of, I guess, calm down a little bit and give this some serious thought. I mean, it just feels very reckless to me, quite frankly, to put the whole highway budget, this budget up in the air and at risk and in jeopardy because of this one part. And I just would really ask folks to give that some serious thought. I hear what the commissioner's saying, and there's a lot of work that's gone into this. They've got their hands full with trying to, balance everything out and fix roads and bridges and do all the other things they've got to do. And to put this whole budget we're talking about at risk over one section that we've had quite a bit of discussion about and a vote on. I just ask folks to please really think about that and please not do that.
Thank you very much, Senator Chipman. I think just in fairness, I think that both sides feel like their side, they're very sincere about their side, and the other side should be the one that's they should consider it more. But so I don't think either side has necessary ground on that one. Representative Seabrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know what? When I'm being told that I'm not seriously considering something, and I'm on the fence, it pushes me in a direction that I don't necessarily want to go in. But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't think that that $1 million here and $1 million there is serious, then we are definitely not on the same page. And we are not talking about the same priority in state government and the highway fund. I really resent let's look at this seriously. If you don't think I've been seriously thinking about this highway fund budget, you are missing something all day long. So I don't like it. I hate to see the commissioner and all of my friends at the Department of Transportation have to go through this. But now you can be resting assured that I will make sure my caucus understands why I'm not supporting this.
Thank you, Representative Seabrook. Let me, can I offer another thing to consider and see if it has any traction? If we pulled out Part I, any of the carry forward, and dealt with that in supplemental budget next year, closer to the time when we might need it. It might be obvious that we do or obvious that we don't. I mean, that to me, that's close enough time period so that we might be able to make, if there was a travesty, disaster, breakdown, then would that work for those people who are concerned about I? In other words, take it all out and then go with the go with it in a supplemental if we needed it the first of the year? Because we're talking, talking 6, 7 months. Representative Perry?
No, I think that's, that's what I've been kind of saying is I think that, we don't know what's needed. We don't, next January or February, if Secretary Bellows comes back and said, we've had a meltdown, we need $500,000, we need $1 million, whatever, and there's money there, I just the language itself is what bothers me. And we did the 1.9, which I went along with because I understood exactly what she was saying, and I understand what you've been saying. I just don't like the language, and I agree with you 100%. I can support it if I is gone, and have the secretary come back to us in January or February. But the key to it, I think, is we also need to look at, as part of that, a future funding source for this additional cost. If something's going to cost us millions and millions and millions of dollars, we can't just take it out of roads. We've got to have a funding source. If e-titling, I think we charge, what do we charge now? $10 for a title. I haven't bought a new car in a little while, so I don't know what it is, but whatever the number, if it's $10 now, maybe it needs to be 20 if we're going to put this system into effect. And we've got to look at that as part of this. We can't just keep pulling money out and saying, let's go into, take money out of the highway fund, and we got to have a funding source. If this is something, it's going to be millions and millions of dollars, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, we've got to really seriously look at paying for it. And I have no problem with that conversation.
Okay, that's good. I mean, my position hasn't changed. I still don't want us to find ourselves, or find Secretary of State in October and with a crash coming at her, at us, everybody. And I want to just toss out, I want to be upfront. Would you and others who are concerned about I be willing to consider that in a supplemental if it was proven we needed to? Knowing that it's still not going to go to a road, but it's going to go to fix a system that may have crashed.
No, and I think that's would happen anyway. I mean, we'll have that in January. I mean, the Secretary of State's got the 1.9 million that's already been appropriated. Right. That she can, and maybe she will let us know exactly what it's being spent on and how we're doing it versus let's just for computer, whatever. And I have no issue with a supplemental next year and appropriating the money out of a supplemental if it's needed at that point. But that's what I said on this year's supplemental is put it in an appropriation. Tell us what you need to do and do that versus just the ongoing language, because it makes it look like the one-time thing turns into an every year thing. And make an appropriation, down, in that supplemental next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that. I just want to make sure that we're all up front, knowing if we come back in December and say, look, we're gonna spend another $700,000, another $1 million. I didn't want anybody to feel, oh, here you are coming back and hitting us from behind again. I want to be up front with it. That we say it now so that we know if it comes, everybody's okay with that. Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we've thrown a lot of stuff around now and great discussion. And I just don't know if we could ask the Secretary if she could at least maybe give us a quick update of what she's thinking.
Okay, good point, Representative Martin. Madam Secretary, I didn't mean to leave you out of the discussion. I mean, the option for me was to make sure you had the money if you need it. But I don't mind waiting a few months, but you may or may not want to do that.
I really appreciate your thoughtfulness. Thank you, Senator Diamond. Thank you, Representative Perry. Thank you, Representative Martin, for asking me to speak. I think I've heard you loud and clear. I really appreciate the initial 1.9 million. We will get started on this work, and I do believe we'll be back with specific numbers, but what I have heard you say is we need to be really specific about which programs we're updating, why, and how much that costs. And we will do that work and report back to you. We really appreciate your thoughtful approach, and we really appreciate that everyone recognizes that these systems need to function and function well to keep generating money for the highway fund and for our roads and bridges and to serve the people of Maine, because that's what I know everyone in this virtual room cares about. So thank you.
So you could live with that time frame.
Absolutely.
And everybody knows up front, you actually may have to have more right off quick the very first part of the year. Okay. Senator, Representative Tom Martin, your hand was still up. Was that just because of the broken shoulder? Okay. Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like that direction that's heading, and I think that's something that I could support. One of the follow-ups, though, from a comment that Representative Perry made with the Secretary of State, and I think we as a committee should recognize this too, because we keep talking about these systems that take away from our roads and bridges. As the Secretary of State is looking at the cost to implement and update these systems, I think it's a part of a larger discussion for this committee that we got to have about how you pay for that, where that comes from, and whether it's fees with the no one likes to talk about it, but you got to pay for those upgrades, and it just can't come from that infrastructure piece. So I think it goes back to some of those conversations we had during the Blue Ribbon Commission about paying for some of these upgrades and how we do that. It's not just the numbers and the implementation, it's how we pay for it.
Good point. I mean, that's a discussion we definitely have to have. And we have time to have it and have it in an orderly manner, but we can't wait too long for that. Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The last thing that this committee wants to do is end up having a divided vote on a highway budget that will ultimately need 2/3 of both bodies to enact. With that in mind, Mr. Chair, in regards to Part I, I would move reconsideration.
Yeah, you moved in on Part I and that failed. So you're on the losing side of it. So we'd have to, what we could do is have someone on the other side move to reconsider, if that's okay with you.
Mr. Chair, you're probably correct, but we had two motions moving in the compromise that was defeated.
Yes.
However, the other motion, did it not prevail?
Neither motion prevailed.
Okay, you're absolutely correct.
Both 5-5.
I stand corrected.
I would call on Representative Perry to maybe do something here. Yes, Representative Perry.
Could we just do a ought to pass as amended on LD 161 with Part I out?
We could do whatever the committee wants. That motion would be.
That gets us to where we need to be.
Don't forget, we have 161, we have the change package, and so it would be ought to pass as amended 161, including the change package with the amended with I out.
Correct.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, so moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion is made. Ought to pass on LD 161, which includes the change package and omits section I.
Correct.
Comments and questions. Representative Perry, your hand is still up. Yeah, are you? Okay, you're down. Questions and comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
the motion's been made. Maybe Representative Perry wanted to second that. Is that why?
That's probably why his hand was up. Representative Perry, did you want to second that?
I made the motion.
Oh, well, no, we had a. Who's on first? Okay.
Representative Perry, if you made the motion, I'll second it.
Second it. That's what I was hoping for right there. Thank you very much for that. Now, discussion on the motion ought to pass as amended, including 161 high, the change package and remission of 1. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, Darlene. Alrighty then.
All right, Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Martin. Danny.
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins, absent. Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White, I'll come back to him. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant is absent. Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
Representative Zebra. Is he gone too?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. And is Representative Dustin White available? Doesn't seem to be. 10 in favor of the motion.
Motion ought to pass as amended, including all I spoke, is 10 in favor, 0 against, and so it prevails. Good job, everybody. Well done. Appreciate everybody's input. We have a few things we have to do. And now we'll bring Sam in. Sam, we had some bills that we'd originally thought about carrying over. Some we've already voted to carry over, but there's some we have yet to make a determination on. So if the committee is okay, excuse me, Suzanne, did I leave you hanging out there on something?
You're muted, Suzanne.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to ask again, if you want to exempt it from the table, you don't need to, but.
Yeah, the committee's okay with that. I don't expect there's any problems. Could we have a motion to exempt it from the table? We'll show a sign of raising hands. We have a motion first.
So moved.
So is there a second to exempt this from the table? No, is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion on exempting it from the table? Seeing none, would people raise their hands, please, so Darlene can see everybody to move it from the table?
I got 7.
Anybody object to that 7? To anybody, excuse me, anybody object to that? Okay, 7 is a majority. All right, thank you, Suzanne. It's sort of
Okay, thank you.
up there. Okay, so we had some bills we have to decide what we're gonna do. We originally had talked about having these carried over. One, Sam, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. 410, Sam, remind us what that one is, please.
Yes, so LD 410 is an act to provide funding for the reconstruction of Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou. And the committee had set it aside with the discussion about carrying it over, but it had not yet been voted to carry over.
And Representative Danny Martin, this was your bill. Could you just give the committee a little reminder on this?
Actually, Mr. Chair, it's not my bill. It's Representative Martin from Eagle Lake. At his request, I spoke to him a couple of days ago. He would like to have this carried over.
Okay. Could we then have a motion to carry over LD 410?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Williams. Discussion? Seeing none. Darlene, we need you.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins is absent. Representative Perry. Nope, we lost Wayne too. Representative Williams. You're muted.
Yes.
Representative Dustin White is absent. Senator Chipman.
Yes.
Representative Mark Bryant is absent. Representative Bruce White.
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin.
Yes.
Representative O'Connell.
Yes.
And Representative Zebra.
Yes.
Which one are we voting on real quick?
410.
10.
Well, I've got 9. 9 in favor, no one in opposition.
Was it a not to pass? I mean, not to pass.
Carry over.
Carry over.
Oh, to carry over, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carry over prevails 9-0.
Did you get me,
Thank you.
Darlene?
Are you going? I did not get you. You disappeared. Are you going with the carryover motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go, Sam, to LD 382.
Okay. So LD 382 is an act regarding the Department of Transportation and electrical vehicle charging stations. This bill was a concept draft, and it is another bill that the committee had tabled with the discussion about carrying it over, but has not voted to carry it over yet.
You're supposed to take longer than that.
Sorry. I'll talk slower.
Representative Danny Martin?
Yeah, in regards to LD 382, I move ought not to pass.
A motion is made as ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion? Totally concur. I mean, I think obviously this can be dealt with in a number of different ways. Any more discussion? Seeing one, Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins.
This guy.
He was there. Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White is absent. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant is absent. Representative Bruce White.
Yes.
Representative Bryant is there.
Back.
Oh, he's back. Okay. Representative Mark Bryant, Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seabra.
Yes.
Okay. No, Representative Perkins isn't back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
Motion ought not to pass prevails, 11-0. We'll now go to LD 388, another bill that was considered to be carry over. And Sam?
Yes, so LD 388 is an act to amend the laws governing transportation. This bill is also a concept draft, and as you already mentioned, it was kind of flagged for carryover by this committee, but it had not yet been voted.
Thank you, Sam. Representative Danny Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my bill, and this was simply a placeholder. With that in mind, Mr. Chair, I would move ought not to pass on LD 388.
Thank you. Motion to pass ought not to pass. Is there a second?
Again.
Second. Thank you, Representative Perry. Discussion? Seeing none? Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White is absent. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Mark Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Tom Martin, Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Seabra.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
11-0.
12-0.
12, sorry. Thank you. 12-0. The motion ought not to pass prevails. That ends that one. The only, is Representative Perkins with us?
Yeah,
No,
we keep, yes, yes.
he was, but,
You know, he's back.
was he back?
Yep.
Representative Perkins.
Yeah.
Representative Perkins, you had, I didn't want to leave this out. You had mentioned about LD 1400, the tow truck thing, and you had been working with some committee members. And so I wanted you to, if you wouldn't mind, if you're ready, or we can wait to have a discussion on this, or would you rather do it when we do the amended, when we deal with all the amendments another time?
That was on the red lights on the records
Yes.
and,
Yes.
yes, ready anytime.
Do you want to share with the committee what you've been doing and what you've come up with and what the thoughts are?
I called Senator Diamond the other day and stated that the Lieutenant Scott and the state police are not behind this bill at all. And there's a reason why, just because it's going to distract.
So I called Kevin O'Connor and talked to him and let him know that, state police would be all behind a green light. And we talked in length, and he talked to him and he agreed that that would be a good idea. Instead of a red light, use a green light on wreckers. And maybe that could, move into his, another green light on top of the, on top of his lift truck. I happened to see some yesterday. I was going down the interstate and I saw some fluorescent LED green lights, and it really stands out well. He was all for it. I don't see where he's on here today. Oh, yes, there's Kevin, Representative, sorry. So I just thought it was a good idea, other than seeing it get killed or vetoed. And at least they'd get something out of it to help them. Also, in the state of Maine, there has been no recorded accidents where anyone has been hit. I also talked to the AAA, and AAA says there's no recorded information on that. They were trying to get it. I think Lieutenant Scott could talk more on that if he wishes. I don't want to set him on the spot like that. I just think it'd be a good idea if we go back to this and look it over again before it goes out of committee and as a divided report. I think we could get everyone to agree that a green light would be better than a red light. And I see Lieutenant Scott's on, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
if I may, before we have Lieutenant Scott speak with us, we are talking about LD 1400, correct?
That's correct.
And this was a divided vote?
Yes, it was 7-6.
7-6 ought to pass, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So the compromise would be what, Representative Perkins? Or your thoughts would be what?
Yeah, well, no, the compromise, and I believe Representative Kevin O'Connell will agree to this. It wasn't my bill, but I talked to Kevin at length about it. Again, I apologize, Representative O'Connell. But I talked to him in length about it, and compromise would be a green light, a green LED light that flashes instead of a red light. The chiefs, the Maine fire chiefs are against this. Maine municipals against it. The state police against it. There's a lot of things that are not going to lead up to a positive, a positive output. How's that? And I think that if we'd all sit and hash this over and talk about it with a little open mind, we might find that a green light would work just as well. With that being said, I'll shut up and let Kevin, Representative O'Connell talk. Sorry.
Well, Representative Perkins, when you said all those people were against it, you meant the red, not the green.
Oh, you killing me. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Representative O'Connell.
Yeah, we talked about it at length, and we come to the conclusion, rather than have it die at a red light, the people do need protection out there. When we were in work session, we talked about emergency situations where you had police and fire already there. There's also other times, as we know, say somebody runs out of gas, get a change of flat tire. They're out there by themselves. They need the protection. As Representative Perkins has said, I've seen them on the DOT dump trucks. The fluorescent green light is very visible, and it will add another layer of protection to those tow truck drivers. So I think we should go ahead with that lead.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think this is a good compromise. I had real issues with the red, just people getting confused and stuff like that. So I think this is a real good idea. I don't know what's proper. Do we need to reconsider this? Does somebody on the prevailing side need to?
Yes. Somebody on the prevailing side would need to ask for reconsideration. The prevailing side consisted of Senators Diamond and Chipman, Representative Danny Martin, Representative Bryant, Representative O'Connell, Representative Bruce White, and Representative Williams.
I would move reconsideration, Mr. Chair.
The motion by Representative Martin to reconsider LD 1400 has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Sam.
Thanks, Senator Diamond. I also wanted to remind the committee that just so everyone's clear, the original vote was ought to pass as amended in the majority. And I just, when you go to reconsider this, I just want to know, I want to be clear whether you keep the other changes that the amendment made. And I can review them for you right now.
Yeah, would you please, just so the committee knows, Sam?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the original amendment to this bill, it changed the bill in the following ways. So it allowed it allows it still allowed the wrecker to use the red flashing light, but it changed that so it could only use the light when it was pulled over and assisting other motorists and loading vehicles. And it explicitly prohibited the use of the red flashing light while the wrecker is moving. So those were the changes in the amendment. So you know, you don't have to stick with that. I'll just want to know when you do the reconsideration whether you keep those pieces in as well.
Thank you, Sam. I'm assuming the person who made the motion, that was part of the motion. Representative Perry?
Just real quick, can we bring Lieutenant Scott in just for a little bit of explanation from the state police side?
Yes, we will. I just want to make sure that everybody's, I want to get that. Representative Danny Martin, was that your?
Yeah, the intent, yeah. The motion, in due time, would be move ought to pass.
Right.
And that would include a green light, and it would also include all the amended language that was in the current bill.
Good. Thank you for that clarification.
That would be the intent when it's proper time.
Thank you. And this motion is just to reconsider, but thank you for that.
Right.
People have that in their minds. Lieutenant, are you available, Lieutenant Scott?
Yes, Senator Diamond. Thank you.
Welcome. Good afternoon. We haven't seen you for a while. We've missed you.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. So as you know, LD 1400, as it was originally presented, we were opposed to the amendment. I had conversations after the public hearing and the work session with my leadership about where that went, and there was some concern, obviously, with any red lighting on non-emergency vehicles. So I took an opportunity to speak to other interested stakeholders at that time to try to find out what their input or thoughts were on it, and if there was some way to compromise here. So I reached out to Bill Gillespie at Maine Fire Chiefs, and also reached out to Rebecca Graham with MMA, and then Pat Moody at AAA, and we were all of the same opinion and had the same concerns about red lights, and they were willing to move forward to make sure that everyone was aware that they had opposed the red lights. They just somehow overlooked an opportunity to speak at a public hearing on that. So there was growing tension with the red light. So I did some research. I looked at some studies and made the suggestion that perhaps green light would be more accommodating, would be brighter, more visible, and would actually serve the towing industry better and still not have any confusion with the public about an emergency vehicle and non-emergency vehicle, about diluting the environment with red lights. And as a result of those conversations, I reached out to Representative Gear, asked Representative Gear what her thoughts were on it. She was on board with it. Representative O'Connell was okay with it, Representative Perkins, and really it came down to, I wanted to make sure that TRAM was good with the Towing Recovery Association of Maine. And so there was some conversations back and forth with them. It sounds like there's some support, although they strongly preferred the red light. They felt if they could get the green light and the unanimous vote out of the Transportation Committee, they would be very interested in that, because it was certainly a victory to add some lighting and a layer of protection for them. And that's kind of what I think brought all that back together before you today.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to say thank you to Lieutenant Scott. You know, this is why we rely on the Department of Public Safety for the work they do for this transportation committee to go and see that divided report and have those concerns and reach out to all of those peoples, including the sponsors and organizations. And thank you to Representative Perkins for bringing this forward, because we would have had probably a veto. And this is one of the things that this committee has avoided, trying to find those compromises like we did earlier today. So thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate it very, very much. You make us look good.
You're welcome, Senator Farren. Thank you.
Well said. Other comments, questions? The motion before us is to reconsider, knowing before you vote what the intent to do once it's reconsidered. So any other further questions? Seeing none, Darlene?
Senator Diamond.
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yes.
Senator Farren. Representative Perkins.
Yes.
Representative Perry.
Yes.
Representative Williams.
Yes.
Representative Dustin White is absent. Senator Chipman.
Yes.
Representative Bryant.
Yes.
Representative Bruce White.
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin.
Yes.
Representative O'Connell.
Yes.
And Representative Seabrook.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative.
Motion to reconsider prevails, 12-0. Now, Representative Danny Martin, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move ought to pass on LD, ought to pass as amended on LD 1400. And the amended version would include our previous vote on the current bill. And instead of a red light, it would be a green light.
Thank you very much. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second, thank you. We had 2 or 3. One I saw was McConnell. Okay, discussion on the motion. Seeing none. Darlene?
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Senator Farren,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Representative Dustin White, absent Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Mike Bryant,
Yes.
Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative Kevin O'Connell,
Yes.
and Representative Rich Seabrook.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative, 1 absent.
Motion ought to pass as amended, 12-0. Thank you very much. It prevails. Well done, everybody. We have one piece left, and that is LD 991. And this is in the work session mode, of course. And it's a resolve directing the Department of Transportation to complete a feasibility analysis to initiate a commuter and passenger train service between Portland and the Lewiston, Auburn area. Sam, update us on anything? I know there's an amendment that's been worked out between the sponsor and DOT. Be anxious to hear about that. Anything, Sam, before we go there?
All I'll add is that I had forwarded the committee this morning the most recent version of what I understand to be Maine DOT's what the amendment that they would be okay with. I have not spoken directly to the sponsor about the agreement between the sponsor and Maine DOT, so I will leave that we'll leave that to them to discuss. But you should have in your inbox at least the most current version that Maine DOT has provided.
And that came from DOT?
It came from my email, and I can send it again if anyone has had.
No, but did that? You said it came from the Department of Transportation. All right.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Senator Ben Chipman.
Muted, Seth. You're muted.
Chair, wanted to know if maybe Megan Russo or someone from the department speak to the amendment and what the amendment does, and then if I could speak after that in terms of the work that went into the amendment and kind of where we are on the bill.
I think that's the best way to go. I just want to give you the preference if you wanted to go first, being the sponsor. Could we ask, is it going to be Ms. Fisher or Ms. Russo from DOT to?
Nina.
Nina, all right, Deputy Commissioner Nina Fisher. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond. Thank you for having me here. Again, I am Nina Fisher. I'm Deputy Commissioner for the Maine Department of Transportation. I don't know if there's anything in particular. It is pretty much along the lines of what we had hoped to accomplish in the 129th with Representative Sheets's bill. Again, we're doing an economic feasibility study. This resolve, does include an appropriation, which we had discussed last week, I think as part of the Bangor study as well, because that had an appropriation, and we thought, well, why doesn't this resolve have one? So it is we're estimating it at 200,000, and currently as drafted, and we've worked with the sponsor on this, and we're comfortable at this level. It's a 10% municipal share. And again, if the estimates go up for some reason, if we have the RFP comes back with significantly higher amounts, the municipalities would have to have conversations with us. And as we said with Bangor, we are more than happy to talk to any of the municipalities and attend their council meetings, provide them information, provide them feedback. That we will be more than happy to take a very proactive role in working with them as we seek to acquire this partnership with them.
Thank you. The glaring question is, you said 10% participation. With the Bangor 227, we said 25%. So how can we say 10% for for Lewiston and 25% for Bangor?
It's a good question, Senator Diamond, and I appreciate that. That's basically how low we're willing to go. That's where we were on Bangor as well. That was what we offered forward to you folks. The legislature is a separate but equal branch of government, and we respect what you put forward, obviously. That is what we agreed to with the senator. And again, that is where our comfort level is. We have done studies on this issue in the past. Many of you know this. This is not, this is essentially a Hail Mary study at this point, right? We're looking at these numbers in an entirely different way. And we have agreed to do that as a result of legislative interest. And in the past, Lewiston and Auburn have already contributed to the most recent study. They each came up with $50,000, which represented, I don't like doing math on a mic, but it's about a 40% share. So they have contributed. They have brought skin in the game. So we are comfortable with that 10%. But obviously, we respect the policy guidance that will derive from this committee.
Okay, so what you're saying is because Lewiston Auburn has already contributed, was it 50,000 apiece?
They have, yes.
They do have skin in the game, so this is an additional 10% for this study. Okay, well, that's better. All right, Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess just to follow up on that point, because I do know that they contributed. For members of the committee that weren't around when we went through this before, one question, Deputy Commissioner Fisher, is where did that 100,000 and the money we spent? Because my understanding is this is to get the economics feasibility study to a point where the municipalities, the DOT or the state or whatever could apply for federal funds if they become available. Am I viewing that correctly?
You are. There's a Star Trek term that our commissioner likes to use that I can't pronounce, but it's essentially changing the rules of the game somewhat. Based on the most recent studies that we have done, where Lewis and Auburn contributed 50,000 each, the ridership numbers did not deem them eligible for federal funding for the programs that exist to fund expansion of passenger rail service. We are not getting any guidance at the federal level that those requirements are going to change, whether it's through Biden infrastructure package or the federal surface reauthorization package, which are going to probably come to a head in the fall. So what this is doing is looking at something slightly differently and saying, what would an economic impact be to this area if passenger rail was allowed to expand, in hopes that it might open up some additional federal resources that right now are closed to us.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Sure, go ahead.
If we didn't direct this economic study, if the legislature didn't, is this still on DOT's radar screen? Because we've invested that $500,000, $100,000 from the municipalities and $400,000 from the DOT, from the multimodal.
I think the best, we're first and foremost an engineering organization. We got to have a plan and we need to execute the plan. And it's a searchable document. This is not in our current work plan. Recognizing that you are a separate and equal branch of government.
Okay. Last question, sir.
Sure, go right ahead.
No. So that piece of it, where we spent that $500,000, and this is another 200,000 to get it to that point. And we're looking at, we can talk about the percentages a little bit, and I'd be interested what the bill sponsor feels about that as well, because we did have that conversation about Bangor. Is we still don't, to this date, even with the talk of the money coming from the federal government, has any of the standards for those dollars been changed from the federal government? You talked about the ridership levels did not meet the threshold to qualify for federal funds. Have we seen anything that those standards are going to be reduced?
We have not through the current mechanisms that exist for funding. So the two mechanisms that you would seek to use federal dollars for a rail expansion would be a discretionary grant. It was formerly known as Tiger. It's now known as RAISE. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what it stands for. Discretionary grant, and that's actually capped at 25 million. So this would be that would be a hard sell in and of itself. And the other form of funding that would exist currently would be consolidated investment grants or CIG grants. They're often called the New Starts or the Small Starts program. And the ridership numbers would not, that we have studied and determined to date, would not qualify for those two programs. So by doing this economic feasibility study, again, we're looking at it in a different way, saying we know that this isn't, it's not viable for this pot of money. Is there another pot of money that we could tap into at the federal level and possibly pursue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you. Senator Chipman.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess I'd like to start out by saying that this bill has gone through quite a transformation from when it was introduced. The bill that was introduced, I understand the department had some serious problems with, and I understand they weren't able to support it the way it was written. So working together with mostly with Megan Russo on it, I really want to thank Megan for all the time she's put into working with myself and the co-sponsors and the supporters of this bill, because she's gone really above and beyond, you know, taking time, personal time during the weekend and things like that to have phone calls and emails about this. An incredible amount of work has gone in over the last 3 or 4 weeks on this bill to get the amendment to where it is. And it really does represent a true compromise from what advocates and myself would like to see, what the department had proposed, and getting us to the point where we are with give and take really on both sides. There were things that we wanted to see, like identifying specific station sites and looking at both rail lines that come from Lewis and Auburn down to Portland. And we had some give and take. We gave up the station sites. We compromised at looking at 2 routes coming down from Lewiston, Auburn to Yarmouth Junction, and then only looking at 1 line coming in from Yarmouth Junction to the Portland train station. Myself and others still think, you know, that we should look at that other line coming into India Street, but we're letting go of that in this amendment and only looking at the 1 line coming down from Yarmouth Junction. There has been some give and take on the part of myself and the supporters as well as the department. Initially, we were not talking about identifying a particular amount of money for the study, and we wanted to see that identified. So we've got that in the amendment of the $200,000, and then the amount of the local share, I think, was at $20,000, and we wanted a percentage, and the department agreed and supports the 10%. And just to speak to that a little bit, there's significant differences between what we're looking at here and what we talked about the other day with the Bangor study. The Bangor study is a first-time initial study, I guess you could say, similar to what we did with Lewis and Auburn 5 or 6 years ago with the study that's been done. There's been no investment from, you know, Augusta, Waterville, Bangor, any municipalities on looking at the route to go to Bangor so far. There will be under the bill we approved the other day, but so far there is not. With the Lewis and Auburn to Portland line, we did have that previous study where there was significant local investment, skin in the game of $100,000 that was put up by the cities of Lewiston and Auburn. So that's pretty significant. I think Deputy Commissioner Fisher just said it was somewhere around 40% of the cost of the study. And so that's why we think the 10% makes sense. This study is really just building off the previous study, some work that has already been done and getting us to that. We think the final piece that we may need to determine if this line is eligible for federal funding, looking at the economic impact analysis. The other thing with the other bill with Bangor, that's a 2-year process. That's a 2-year study that's going to go on over the next 2 years. This bill is much more expedited. This bill and the amendment proposes to do the study over the next really 9 or 10 months and have a report back to this committee by March 1 of next year with the ability to report out a bill and take action on the results of the study if we feel it's warranted. So really we're not, rather than giving the municipalities 2 years to put up some money the first year and some money the second year like it did with Bangor in installments, we don't really have time like that on our side with this bill. We're looking to do this bill and have the study done over the next 10 months. So it's really one shot for municipalities to make one investment, one allotment of funding, as opposed to spreading it out over time. So there's really some, like I said, it's like apples and oranges to look at the 2 different bills. And that's why we think the 10% makes sense. And it's really part of this true compromise. It's part of the overall package in the amendment. To go and make any changes to that or anything else in the amendment, it really goes against and potentially unravels all the work we put into this, which has been enormous. So I guess with that, and not to discourage anybody from speaking, I would certainly encourage the dialogue, but with that, I would like to make an amendment of ought to pass as amended using the amendment that's been presented to us by the department.
Motion to ought to pass as amended has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Now discussion, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This goes to Nina. On the current study, or was it the previous study, the 400,000 and the 100,000, is that still ongoing, or is that the one from 5 or 6 years ago that I remember?
I think it finished in 2018. So
that was the previous
yeah,
one.
it is completed, correct.
It said it wasn't feasible.
Correct, based on the ridership numbers that it projected.
Did we have an estimate number? Because it seems though I remember numbers to go to Bangor, numbers to go to Lewiston Auburn were something like 300 million to the Bangor one, and the Lewiston Auburn was 100 or 150 million or something like that. I just guess I don't know if we just keep doing studies to see if it's feasible when those kind of numbers would never be feasible for the amount of people. If almost everybody took the train, would cover those numbers. So I guess I just, I understand the wanting for Lewiston Auburn. And I mean, I brought up back, I think in the original one, if there was any way to do a little shuttle back and forth. And then there was an issue on slots for the train and all that, if that wasn't even a feasible one, on trying to figure out what we could do that was feasible, that was a little bit different just because the cost was so high.
Representative, I am wondering, are you asking ridership numbers, or are you asking capital costs for expanding passenger rail service to Lewiston Auburn?
Yeah, I think both, because if, I mean, we still need, currently we subsidize tickets going from Brunswick to Boston after spending hundreds of millions of dollars for capital and everything else. And if we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for capital and still have to subsidize tickets because we can't charge enough, or there isn't enough people to ride, it's not just a capital cost, it's an ongoing highway fund cost that we spend. I think it's federally and state, I think it's like 10 million for the Amtrak now. So I guess I'm just kind of an overall question on both, because it's not just a capital thing, it's a ridership thing. If we have to continually subsidize the tickets after we paid $100 million for upgrades and everything else.
Thank you, Representative. It's so weird not being in a committee room with you all, but blue is kind of the color of the day, I think, from looking at you all. And I don't know if you have the blue sheet in your folders. It's, again, much easier when I'm sitting in front of you at the Horseshoe. But we do have a sheet that we handed out at some point, Sam. I don't know if this was the public hearing months ago, but it talks about, the title of it is the LA Rail Expansion Analysis Next Steps. It's similar to what we handed out on Representative Sheets' bill during the 129th. And it outlines the different.
That was similar to Representative Golden's bill, or Congressman Golden's bill, I think, way back.
It was. And I do want to say, for those of you who remember, I remember when I had Megan's job, what felt like years ago and a child ago, I remember we had the Portland North study, which was the real first comprehensive transit propensity study that we did looking at this issue. And in all honesty, that resulted in a new bus service within the cities and surrounding areas out of Auburn, and that has fantastic numbers and continues to grow. So there was great benefit for that study. It looked at where commuters are going, what people need, what their needs are. I mean, that's what a transit propensity study looks at. So the work is not lost, I guess, if that's helpful for you. And, that I can provide you more detailed analyses, but you're looking at roughly 600 to 800 daily riders. The last study projected up to the year 2040 a high of 1,900 daily riders. And the estimated capital costs through the different routes, I mean, kind of come in at the 264 million to as high as 350 million. So you're right. I mean, 390 actually on one of them. It's not going to be cheap. And I have to reiterate, Senator Chipman has been an absolute joy to work with. He is always respectful and thoughtful and engaging in this. And we're very happy that we're at this compromise place with him. Again, we will work with any of you any day for as long as we need to. And Senator Chipman has made this easy in that regard. But we share your concerns to some degree. If these numbers come in and they don't, we say the same thing on the Bangor one, they're studies. They are not a blessing saying go forward and build the railroad and get this service in line. We need those numbers first. We don't have them in Bangor. That's why a study is necessary. We don't have the economic feasibility numbers for Lewis and Auburn expansion. So that's why we are okay with this study. But we hope that this committee will continue to serve as a partner of looking at the numbers as they come out and somewhat tampering the enthusiasm that may exist if there are no federal dollars available. You folks have always been partners in that. We've been very blessed to have a committee that looks at the transportation system as a whole, not just individual modes or individual regions of the state. And I'm confident moving forward when we have more information to share with you, whether it's the Bangor study or the economic feasibility study in this regard, that we hope you guys remain partners in that and kind of helping us add some truth to the narrative.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I was kind of thinking. It's just trying to remember back to all the other feasibility studies, and I tend to get studied out when we want to keep studying the same thing, knowing it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And I get this because, I mean, it is federal money, which it's our federal tax dollars versus our state tax dollars. It's still our tax dollars. For a very limited amount, and if I don't know what the cost difference would be on the same issues that we have with Amtrak and the continuing having to subsidize that for a fairly small group. I realize there's probably 500,000 riders a year, but it's really kind of a small number on that actually take advantage of it versus taking money from people in Aroostook County or in Oxford County or something that may not use it. But you mentioned too about additional bus. Didn't that come into when we did this last or back in whenever, that they started looking at doing more bus and how's the ridership been there? I mean, is it at capacity or is there still a lot of capacity that they can put in that way versus spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a train?
Thank you. I can provide you more information on the bus service in the Lewis and Auburn area, but yeah, the Portland North study was really kind of the first one that I think Senator Diamond may have been on the committee, maybe Representative Bryant, maybe Representative Perry and Representative Seabra. Years ago, I still remember sitting up there with Sue Moreau, who was kind of our multimodal transit expert, and she was incredibly invigorated by that study because it did identify that a bus service was something that the region really needed and wanted.
A little more feasible.
A little more feasible. And honestly, I mean, it's apples and oranges. I mean, the infrastructure through our roads and bridges and that network already exists for bus service. If you suddenly, and there has been obviously public transit of any kind has taken a hit as part of the pandemic. People are feeling they're either staying home or they're feeling safer in individual automobiles. We have seen that rebound somewhat. I think Megan sends out those numbers to you as she's able to most weeks. But I think that the federal government has offered good financial assistance for transit providers right now. And if we're noticing that there's a need for increased service, you can always buy another bus and it helps. You can add runs. It's not a matter of, it's a little bit more, again, it's that apples to oranges comparison when you're dealing with bus services versus a rail service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Chipman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to point out a couple of things. all forms of transportation are heavily subsidized. There's no form of transportation that pays for itself, whether it's roads, bridges, airlines, buses, rail, bike lanes. I mean, everything requires investment. So I just wanted to say that up front so that we are thinking about it in that perspective. And then I also want to point out that this study, there's nothing in this study that has already been done. There's nothing in this study that duplicates anything that has already been done. Yes, there was a previous study that was done on ridership. This study does not look at ridership at all. All it looks at is the economic impact. So this is something that was recommended in the next steps from the last study. Was recommended as a next step to look at economic impact, which was not done before. We know across the country and even here in Maine, where we've expanded the Down East Strip to Brunswick, there's been economic development that's occurred when the train comes in and makes a stop somewhere. There's economic development. We don't know how much. And so the ridership numbers, while they didn't quite get us to the point of qualifying for federal funds, and that's what this is about, trying to leverage federal funds and be positioned and ready to receive federal funds for investment in Maine to help offset the cost of getting the service up and running. We know that the ridership from the last study did not quite get us to the level of being able to receive federal funds. The economic impact that this could bring, the development that could occur, the service was brought to fruition, combined with those ridership numbers, could then hopefully get us to a point of being able to qualify for federal funds. So it's building off what's already been done, nothing duplicative, and getting us to a point where we actually can qualify for significant federal funding. That's why we'd like to go forward with this.
Thank you, Senator Chipman. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the House's appointee to the Climate Council, I feel obliged to bring this up. As you probably know, if you've read the report or the various comments about the Climate Council report, 56% of our emissions, our carbon emissions in the state, come from transportation. And the only, if we put out self-propelled boats, like sailboats and canoes and so on, the only mode of current transportation that that can avoid or lessen this figure are electric cars and electric trains. Buses, I'm told by the experts, more than one expert, are at least 10 years off to be able to utilize batteries. In terms of electric cars, they're starved, but there are people in this state who cannot, will not, or do not drive. There are also going to be issues with the charging stations. I don't want to get into all of that now, but again, I want to repeat that trains can now utilize technology that will lessen that carbon footprint that we have, that no other mode of transportation, again, except for the sailboats and the canoes, that no other mode of transportation can do. So while I know dollar signs are important when we read reports and so on, so are larger, broader issues in our state. And I encourage us to keep that in mind when we're having this discussion about rail. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Williams. Representative Perkins.
Just a question, sir. Bangor is 25% and Waterville is 25%. Am I correct?
That's correct. Other questions, comments? There's a motion before us, ought to pass as amended, been duly made and seconded. Further discussion? Darlene, it's you.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Matton,
Yes.
Senator Farren. Did we lose him? Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams. You're muted.
Sorry. Yes.
Representative Dustin White, is absent. Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Matton,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
Yes.
And Representative Seabra.
Nope.
Okay. 10 in the affirmative. And Representative Seabra, are you going ought not to pass with your own amendment?
ONTP, thanks.
Thank you.
So that's 9. Did you say 9 to 1?
I did, but let me count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ought to pass as amended. 1 ought not to pass and 2 absent.
Thank you very much. The motion ought to pass as amended prevails 10 to 1.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody for working on that, the department and Senator Chipman, and it looks like you spent a lot of time on it, and glad to have that one done too. Sam, what else do we have today? Anything on your agenda? I know we have to come back and look at the wording on several bills that you've been asked to come up with amendments, or at least wording for amendments on.
That's correct. So I don't have anything additional for today, unless there are other things that the committee wants to discuss. We have voted all of the bills that we have this session. So what you can expect in the next week or two is that I'm going to be processing amendments, and when they are ready, they will come back. I'll bring them back to the committee for language review. That way you can all see them and sign off, or on things that, on the way it came out, or if I missed something or didn't represent accurately what you wanted, you can change it then. And we'll also have the time to do like fiscal note review during that time as well. So for now, I've got nothing for you, and just tune in for when we do language reviews.
Thank you. So what Sam is saying is we will have to get together at least one more time, and then also for the table to deal with the highway table. We expect some bills coming through that will land there. Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. A question to Sam. Sam, can you confirm that we voted to carry over LD 796?
That is correct, and we voted to carry it over on April 13th.
All right. And in regards to 899, what's the status of 899?
899 was also voted to carry over on April 13th.
All right. Thank you.
And
Yes,
that
go ahead.
actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
That just reminds me, this committee has also voted alongside a number of its bills to send letters. And 796 was one of the bills that the committee is sending out a letter about. And I just want to also let the committee know that I will be producing the amendments for you first, and the letters will come next, just because the amendments are time sensitive, as in we need to get them out so you guys can have them on the House and Senate floors. And the letters are not time sensitive in the same way. So.
Thank you for that. Representative Perry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess that will probably happen in committee on our reviews and everything else, because we'll be up there, correct?
Yeah, except the order that came out of the Legislative Council said that committees will continue to meet as Zoom for the rest of the session. So I don't
Even
know.
when we're there?
I know. Maybe that'll change.
Okay.
That's what it is right now.
Also, real quick, we've got the inspection study that's supposed to be coming back to the chairs on picking the committee members, and I just wanted to touch base on that. One of the gentlemen that testified owns several stations, Michael Gay. I just wanted to reach out to the chairs and the leads to see if he can be on that group, just because of his knowledge on the small station inspection.
Yes, and please remind us of that. We haven't received anything yet, but please it'll be a committee discussion anyway. Chairs and leads will get together. We'll come up with some recommendations and look for ideas from you as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Darlene.
I'll wait till everybody's done. I need votes.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments, questions? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Darlene.
All right, so Senator Farren on LD 991, which was Senator Chipman's train bill, that was ought to pass as amended, 12 to 1.
Yes.
Okay, and Representative Perkins, I need you on 382, which was ought not to pass, which is,
Yes.
that's okay. And 410 was a carryover. That's Representative Perkins.
Yes.
And Representative Bryant, I need you on that one too.
What,
LD 40
carryover?
Yeah, carryover.
Yes.
And then on the budget, it's ought to pass as amended. It's unanimous so far. Representative Perkins
Yes.
and Representative Bryant.
Yes.
Okay. And I think that's it.
Good. Thank you. Hey, listen, everybody, great job. A lot of good discussion, a lot of good points on all sides. Appreciate all your sincerity and all the work that you do and the time you put into this. Can't say it enough how much I appreciate all the work you all do. So thank you very, very much for that.
Darlene, what was the vote on 991?
You have to wait till I mess the pile up, huh? Well, it's 11 in favor of ought to pass as amended, 1 in opposition and 1 absent.
Excellent, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else? Chair Martin, anything from your end?
We're good, Mr. Chair.
Good. Anything else from anybody? All
Are we
right.
meeting again this week?
We'll get together whenever the Sam is ready with the amendments. It may be this or maybe next, but he's got a bundle to do. So whenever they're ready, we'll get together.
Okay,
Those
thank
of
you.
you folks have a very safe and healthy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you
Thank
go.
you. You as well.
All done, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Senator Farren. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks. See you on June 2nd.
Absolutely. See ya.
Yes, please all come see me then, because I need signatures.
All right.
Thanks.